Hey, you rusty freaks! This one is going to be a primitive combat guide. I'm the boneless here, wanted a primitive combat guide, and I thought, what a brilliant idea, because primitive combat, I mean, personally, in my opinion, it's the most fun anyway, but primitive combat is really the most important because we start out primitive. You start out with a rock, the first thing you get is a spear or a bow, and you have to be able to fend for yourself like that. Also, if you get raided, or if you get killed, you end up primitive. So why not be good with gear? The first primitive weapon we'll cover is the spear.
And I think it's the best weapon. I think it's the best melee primitive weapon for me.
Well, the most important thing to realize with the spear is that it does more damage if you throw it. But obviously you have to be careful. If you throw your spear, chances are you're going to lose it. If you throw your spear into someone and they can see it, move around and press E, they can pick it up. They can literally pull it out of themselves. Chasing someone and you throw it, they end up picking it up and then they can use it against you. Other than that, you want to get a headshot, obviously. Actually, throw the spear at me in my head. Hang on, let me put some clothes on. Yeah. Do a headshot. Yeah, look at that. It took me to 11 health. Oh, one other thing about the spear. Another important thing about the spear is that you can use it in water. You can't shoot if you're swimming. So melee weapons come very important if you're inside the water. Also, you can raid with a spear. If there's a soft side, you can, slowly work your way through a wall. Yeah. Alright, bows. When you start out, one of the first weapons you're going to have is the bow, so obviously very important primitive weapon. And I don't know really what to tell you except watch some YouTube videos of people who are really good at bow fighting. I guess Chills and Prince Vids. They're all good. All the main YouTubers are good with bows. What I would say, see what Ima is doing there, moving left to right. If you find that the guy you're fighting is juking so much that you're having a hard time shooting them, don't try to aim at them. Just keep shooting next to them. They'll eventually walk in. They'll eventually walk into your arrow. See, I wasn't aiming for him, I was aiming next to him. Eventually he jukes into it. Another thing, if you're fighting with someone in a bow fight and you can close the distance and switch to a melee weapon like a sword, you should do that. Because very few people do that. When they're in a bow fight, it's like they get tunnel vision and they just keep shooting and shooting and shooting. You can switch to a sword, finish it by running in and chopping them in the head, do that. Good way to finish a fight.
A quick demonstration, I'm gonna shoot Paxus in the head. See how much damage it does.
Yeah, I'm on 100 now.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, it took me to 47 health.
Yeah.
2 headshots, I'd be dead now. Well, I don't know what you can really say about the crossbow, except that if you can get a crossbow when you're primitive, you should get it, obviously. It's a lot more powerful than the bow.
And the bow, but it reloads slower. Look at this, it's like 4 seconds.
Yeah. So ideally what I do in a situation, in a fight, is I shoot with the crossbow and then I quickly switch to a faster weapon. Yeah. I've got high velocity arrows. Yeah, guys, no one uses high velocity arrows. They might be quicker and straighter over a long distance, but they do less damage, so no one uses them. It's the same thing with a water pipe. You know, if you shoot, you might switch after you've fired, switch back to a faster weapon, faster reloading weapon. I can't think of really anything else to say with the crossbow. The drop off is a lot less than with a bow, so it's good for distances. It shoots a lot straighter than the bow. And yeah, it does a hell of a lot of damage compared to the bow. Really puts you on par with, you know, someone using a P2 or something like that. You can take down geared guys with a crossbow.
Right, next, the nail gun.
Yeah, the nail
A
gun.
new
Well,
added to Rust.
again, I don't think it's a good weapon to use except close up.
Yeah, just
As
look at its fire rate.
Yeah, it has a high fire rate.
It's like a... Let me show off the damage. To the head it does... Are you full health?
100, yep.
Alright.
One nail does 19 damage. Oh, look,
To the chest.
see how I just grabbed that nail out of my own head? If you press E,
So-
you can grab projectiles out of your own.
Fill up in the chest.
Alright, go. 16. The water pipe is huge for primitive. It can't be understated. It's a game changer. You should try to get a water pipe as soon as you can if you're in a primitive stage of the game. Okay, I'm gonna come out with our AK and red. So I was talking about water pipe. So here I am, a geared guy. I've got road sign armor and I've got an AK. This is the power of having a water pipe when you're primitive. Come out of your base. Oh! And now the primitive guy has an AK.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how
I
you
mean,
go.
if you headshot a guy with a water pipe, GG.
Yeah.
You just killed him.
Yep. That's how you go from primitive to fully geared. Okay, here's what I was saying about if you're in a bow fight and if you can close distance, switch to a melee weapon and finish the fight by doing that. You can often catch your opponent off guard and you'll kill them if you've got a good melee weapon like a cleaver or a sword. The other thing I want to talk about is bone clubs and bone knives. They can be really good. For example, if you lose your rock, which can happen, sometimes people throw their rock, they break it, and they don't have a rock, and suddenly you think, oh, now I can't harvest. If you've killed an animal and you've got bones in your inventory, you can make a bone club. And bone clubs can harvest from trees, they can harvest from nodes, and they make a half decent weapon. So don't discount a bone club. No one ever makes bone clubs, but they can help you out in a pinch if you need to harvest trees or nodes, and they can make weapons too. If you hit someone with a bone knife, they will get not just the damage from hitting them, but they will take bleeding damage. Like they will keep bleeding for a while. There's some important things about being a primitive player, and the most important things for being a primitive player is stealth. Obviously you can't run into battle against geared guys out in the open, so you want to use stealth, cover. You know, if you're fighting a geared guy, you want to be using like peeking to back and forth from a rock or a tree or a building. You want cover, you want stealth, you want surprise, ambush. You want to be able to see them without them seeing you. You want to be the one getting the first few shots in. And teamwork as well. if you can find, you know,
Yeah.
2, 3, or 4 naked guys or primitive guys, you all start shooting a geared guy at the same time, you're going to overwhelm them. That's really all there is to be said about primitive combat. We could talk about the Eoka, but again, the only thing about the Eoka is that you might have to strike the flint several times before it shoots, and you need to be up close. It's the same with a water pipe. With a water pipe, it's really only effective if you're this close to your opponent. Any further away, even this close, your chances of missing increase, and you're not going to do a lot of damage. Right. Yeah. So again, the water pipe, it's all about being able to get up close and personal. Best when you can surprise your opponent. Like if you can sneak up behind them and blam, or if it's a corner, for example, maybe you're holding your bow and the guy doesn't know you've got a water pipe and they chase you around a corner, you switch and blam, shoot them in the head. So yeah, just in conclusion, in my opinion, primitive combat is the most fun. Lasts longer than when you're using guns. So the other thing that is the point that I keep harping on about, you love running around naked with just a bow and a spear, then you can't ever be upset when you lose everything or you get raided and lose everything, because you can always make a spear and a bow, and they're the most fun. If this video helped you out, please smash the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. Just don't do nothing. Thanks, Ima. Paxus out.
Goodbye.